Number 3, begin by looking for our conclusion and our premises. We see we've got the conclusion indicator hence, indicating that the statement that follows is the conclusion of the argument. The conclusion indicator hence also indicates that the sentence that precedes it is one of the premises. We also have this premise indicator since, indicating that the statement that follows it is one of the premises. I chose the following as terms for this argument. Cars purchased by environmentalists, represented by C. Fuel-efficient cars, represented by F. And Wranglers, represented by W. If you chose different letters to represent your terms, you want to create a cross-reference for yourself right now so that you can compare your argument to mine and make sure that you've done your work correctly. All right. I chose to write the argument out using the full terms in standard form categorical statements. So the conclusion is no Wranglers or fuel-efficient cars. The first premise is all cars purchased by environmentalists are fuel-efficient cars. And I know that fuel-efficient cars is the predicate of my first premise because it's the term that follows the word only. And whatever follows the word only serves as the predicate term in your standard form categorical translation. And finally, the second premise is no Wranglers are cars purchased by environmentalists. When we represent this argument symbolically, we get an argument that looks like this. Premise number 1 is an A statement. The second premise and conclusion are both E statements, and the middle term is connected by a downward sloping line from left to right, indicating figure 1. So even if you use different terms in your argument, if you translated this correctly, you should have an argument in the form of AEE figure 1. Now, when we create a Venn diagram for this argument, we represent all C or F by shading in areas 1 and 2, forcing all of the C's that exist down here into 3 and 4. And then when we mark the second premise, no W or C, we shade in area 3 and eliminate any possible areas where there could be W's that are also C. Now we look to see if we see the conclusion statement reflected by this Venn diagram, no W or F. And we don't. There could be some W here in area 6. We don't know for sure that there is, but there could be because it's open for membership. So that means that this conclusion is not necessarily true, even when we assume the premises are true, and therefore the argument is invalid. So what's gone wrong here? Well, we can figure that out by identifying all of our distributed terms, and we've got 5 of them here, and then applying the 5 rules for categorical syllogisms. Rule number 1 says the middle term has to be distributed at least once, and it is. We've got that... We've got C as our middle term, and it's distributed actually in both premises. Rule number 2 says if you've got terms distributed in your conclusion, and we do, W and F are both distributed, they better be distributed also in premises. And W is distributed in the second premise, but F is not distributed in the first premise. So that means that the major term of this argument is distributed in the conclusion, but not in its premise, and that's a fallacy. So the argument is invalid because of an illicit major.